Hi, this is Kevin for Sonovert.com. Today I'm going to be showing you how to transfer your tape recordings, MiniDisc recordings and vinyl record recordings onto your PC and how to save them as MP3s. To start off with, I should say that all the software that we're using in this particular video is going to be available free of charge, and the video is intended for consumers who want to back up some of their favorite recordings onto their PC using consumer equipment. Now, if you get stuck, the Sonovert website has got a lot of really useful information, and that should help you out in deciding what sort of equipment you might need to get, and also what to do if you get stuck. So I will have a link in the description as to show you some of the more useful articles on the website, and as well as a link to the software downloads. Now, if you intend to use a standalone vinyl record player to transfer your recordings, I would suggest you certainly have a look at one of the articles which shows you what sort of equipment you might need. But for other considerations, what you'll basically need is some sort of player with a headphone socket and a cable to allow you to connect that to your PC. Now, every computer is different, but what you'll need to do is to set up the audio recording on your PC. And what I've got here is the control panel in Windows XP. If I open up the Sound and Audio Devices properties, I can go to the Volume tab, hit Advanced, and in the Options menu I can look at Properties, and here it's telling me that I've got REALTEK Audio HD inputs and outputs. I'll be using the back end inputs, and it allows me to select the recording sources. If I hit OK, here we are. I've selected the blue in rear source, and I can adjust the volume here at any time that I want. There is a rear green input source, and that's usually the microphone. The green is the microphone, the blue is the line in. Blue line in sockets allow you to record things in stereo. So what I would suggest is that you plug your cable into the line in socket, the blue socket, and if you find, like I have on my PC, that you actually haven't got a blue socket, you've just got the green socket, then you may well have a switch that allows you to change the microphone socket into a line-in socket, and I'll quickly show you what the setup is on this particular computer. This is particularly the case if you've got a small form factor PC or if you've got a laptop. Let's go to the REALTEK Audio Input Output section, and if you can see here, I've got the retasking enabled, and what that does is allows me to select whether I want the microphone socket to act as a mic in socket or to act as a line in socket. I'm going to choose line in, hit OK, and now we're ready for stereo recording. These kinds of toggles, these kinds of switches are frequently found on laptops, so if you haven't got a line in socket, what I would suggest is that you look at your documentation and see if it's possible on your system to toggle between the microphone and the line in. Always use line in whenever possible, unless of course you want to use the microphone for voice recording. Now, the software I'm going to be using for recording is Audacity, and more advanced users might find it useful to wait until the Zynewave Podium section, where I'll be discussing how to use this software for recording. And if you want to use VST plugins, this software is ideal for that function. But let's start off with Audacity. First of all, we want to make sure that the project rate, which is found in the bottom left corner, is at 44,100. That's the default. And next we go to Edit Preferences. Now you'll see that the Devices section is highlighted, and we've got MME selected, and if we go down to the recording section, the recording input that I selected in the Windows control panel area is highlighted here. Now all I would need to do is to select whether I want mono or stereo, and as I'm using line in, I can choose stereo and hit OK. Next I hit the record button, and I'm actually using a cassette tape player I start the cassette tape, and as you can see here, we've got too much volume. So what I can do is to do one of two things. First of all, I can either lower the volume down on the cassette player, and also if I go to the Windows recording control, I can lower or increase the volume there too. It's generally a good idea to keep the volume down on the player fairly low, and then that allows you to use this to make some of the minor adjustments. If the volume on the player is very high, you'll be restricted to using this all the way down there, and that really doesn't give you too much control. You can also look at the meters to see how your recording is faring. If we get lines at the right hand side of the meters, that means it's too high. And if you find that it's generally okay, but you get the meter readings hitting the right hand side occasionally, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. But if it happens too frequently, then you might want to stop your recording and then restart it. Once you're done, hit the stop button, File, Export. That allows you to save everything as an MP3 or any one of the other formats that you can choose from. Now, for users who want to use the Zynewave Podium program, what you would do here is go to Project, hit New, and that brings up this screen here. We will choose New Stereo Project. As you can see, there are more advanced settings there. We'll choose Stereo for the time being. Edit project name, and we can put in our project name there. And if you want to decorate your player, you can choose whichever images you want from your computer. Hit OK, then go to Configure Audio. As you can see, the audio here is already configured. You can choose ASIO drivers or Windows MME drivers. As you can see here, the settings I've got are for the back input, which is the one that I'm using, and again we've got 44/100 Hz, which is ideal for recording. I'm going to hit OK. We're going to ignore the MIDI settings. If you want to load in VST plugins, you go to this section here. We can then create the project, and that brings up the recording screen. If you haven't got a recording screen, then I think what you should have is the arrangement, and you just double click on the arrangement and that brings up the recording screen. Now what I'm going to do is to add a track, and we'll call this track Recording Track 1. We can choose any color we want for that. Hit OK. And for later use, what I want to do is to put in some equalizers, so I'm just going to choose those, and they appear there, so I can alter those a bit later on. The other thing you need to do is to select your input, so I'm going to choose audio in 1 and 2. That gives us left and right, and that allows us now to arm the track for recording by pressing R there. And if we've got the button on there, we can leave that. If it's off, then we need to switch it on. Hit the record button, and if you press play, you should now get your recording. Again, it's important that the levels are correct, and if they're not correct, you alter the volume in Windows, in the Windows volume controller. Once your recording's finished, you can double click, choose File, Export to Sound File, and then export to whatever track name you want and save that. Or if you want, you can stop your recording and alter some of the settings in your filters. And once that's done, you can go to the File, Export to Sound File, and that will export everything here. And that's basically it. This would export everything as uncompressed audio as WAV files, and you can choose to convert those into MP3s in Audacity if you want. And that is how to use Zynewave Podium for recording from cassette tape, MiniDisc, or from vinyl record. I hope you found that useful. If you liked the video, please rate, comment, subscribe for more videos if you want. And thank you for watching. Take care. Till next time. Bye.